Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Chelsea Aftermath. Here we are again. Since we started doing Chelsea Aftermath, I don't think we've had a positive result. Well, Lincoln City is the only positive, but that performance was absolutely abysmal. Um, Nearly 24 hours into the debacle that took place against Brighton. I'm really broken, man. I'm absolutely broken, and we're going to talk about all of this. But before we do that, Ishan, brother, how you doing?
No. Did you just write Chelsea Aftermath episode 5? But this is, for me, it's episode 3, part 2. Episode 3, part 2. The same Aftermath episode we had after, the United game is the same. What difference it is, we'll talk about it. But yeah, I was not doing well yesterday, and Chelsea did not help me out. You know what I mean? Chelsea did not help me out at all. But here I am. Let's discuss the calamity that has happened, man. Looking forward to it.
No, absolutely, man. And we're going to take as many uh, live chat comments as possible because ultimately, look, this is your show. This is a community we built together, and we need to hear what the community has to say. We need to hear every single one of you guys what you have to say. But before we do that, we've got a very, very special introduction to this show. His name is Arian. Arian reached out to me a few days ago, and I was blown away by his content on Instagram. And I said, you know what, I need this brother ASAP on the channel. And he's a fantastic content creator. He's a growing content creator. He's someone who's starting things off on a recent basis. Arian, first of all, big up to you, my man, and welcome to the other side of the coin, and welcome to the Chelsea Aftermath. How you doing?
Thanks a lot, Ms. Doing well. Well, not particularly after what happened yesterday, but probably not a day for courtesies and formalities. But I've been a viewer of your channel, a lover of your channel, a follower of your channel, and there's massive gratitude to the fact that you invited me over to be part of it as a participant. Really kind of means a lot. But yeah, I guess today is probably not a day for all the happy, sweet little stuff.
Mm. Chelsea cut him off, bro. Chelsea said enough, enough, Arian.
Bro, just like Vince McMahon used to cut CM Punk's mic, yeah? During 5 bombs, my days.
they cut my man off. He's just arrived and they cut him off.
This channel is produced by Todd Bowley, guys. Just letting you know.
Hopefully Arian's going to be back very, very soon. Something's probably wrong with his internet. But
by the way, big up to my office buddy Sarthak in the chat. Big up to you, bhai. You might be enjoying. Sarthak is a Barcelona fan.
Sarthak is saying Arian is so sad. Arian, good to have you back again. We lost you for a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. I lost you all for a minute. Yeah, Sarthak, actually, you've bound to be sad, right? With what just happened yesterday, it was catastrophic to say the least. After whatever happened in the first half, and then as you call it, football is a game of two halves, right? And I think there wasn't a clearer illustration that we could have seen.
Absolutely
completely changed upside down in the second half, and I think even to this time I feel a bit shocked and really can't really get over whatever kind of happened. And it's like a relegation form that we're kind of showing as of now, and I'm just really scared of facing Benfica midweek and then the champions next week at Stamford Bridge. And yeah, let's hear from you both as well and from the chat what they feel about.
100%, man. Look, dreading Benfica, dreading Liverpool, but we're going to get to all of that. Before we get to all of that, big up to Frosty45. Appreciate that. Maresca showed be sacked. Maresca showed be sacked. The SD should follow him. Yeah. Look, Ishan, I want to just quickly start things off with Shanu. Shanu is one of these ones who
Yeah.
This guy is always goes after me in the comments, bro. He doesn't hold back. He's always after me. Whenever any other person comments on my video, oh, Ms, you absolute puta, you absolute mother chot, all that kind of stuff he says about me. This guy, he adds his 2 little cents underneath and says, yeah, this guy, I hate him, I hate him. But Shanu's always he's always here. And I don't wanna disregard anyone's comments today. I think everyone's comments valid. Ishan,
Yeah.
we'll kick things off with you, and then we'll go to Arian again. Ishan was saying, no manager changing shit until they change the model or get these owners out. Ishan, how do you feel about this comment, bro? How do you feel about this comment?
You know, Miss, what the best part is, and since we've started this, by the way, since we started this aftermath, 0 Premier League wins, I guess. I hope it's not a jinx. It's not a jinx or a curse, but yeah, man, it hasn't been a good start since we got this show started. But yeah, look, I acknowledge each and every person's frustration out there in the live chat and also in the Chelsea fraternity. Yeah, anybody who comes out and says that it's Maresca fault, I agree, and I have points to back that, right? Anybody coming out and saying that it's the player's fault, I agree, and I have points to back that too. Right? Anybody coming out and saying, "Oh no, it's this the people up top in the management or the sporting directors or the owners' fault," that too I agree, and I have points to back that too. And this is the situation we are currently, right? Because you cannot have point of view where a single entity is going wrong, and this is why this results or the chain of result that we are facing, right? It is the collective failure of each and every department of this entire ecosystem that we have. Right?
Good talk.
Yeah. So let's start with where do you want to start? What do you want to talk about? Just like Cody Rhodes says, let's start from up top.
What do you want to talk about?
What do you want to talk about? Up to down. Let's go up to down approach. Yeah.
You run with it, bro. You run with it.
All right. Let's go up to the bottom, but not bottoms up approach. Up to bottom approach. Right. Let's talk about the owners first. Look, Miz, we know there are problems with the owners. People are not happy with the decisions that these owners have made, and not just for the past 1 year, but since they've taken over, right? There are some things that they have done good. There are some things they're not done good at all, and things are to be things were a bit topsy-turvy when people started protesting and all in the middle, and then somehow down the line they again tried to gain the confidence of the public. But we know that the people, the way they are running with this football club, the model that they are approaching with, it's not the kind of model that we like to see our football club run, right? So that's one thing. But the question here is, this section, yeah, is the most difficult part to talk about, because it's the most difficult part to change, right? It's not going to change by virtue of us speaking or people running down the streets, 500 people, 1,000 people. It's the most difficult part to change, right? I agree there are flaws there and they've committed mistakes, but to change them is the most difficult part. Hence, talking about them and giving them time for most of the part of our show, or probably in any show that we go, is going to be somewhat meaningless at this point of time, at least. Because why? There are other areas as well who are doing their due mistakes, right? Let's go back down to the hierarchy and talk about the sporting directors. Absolute shit show of a transfer season. That's what I would say. Why? Look at where we are. And Miz, my take on the centre backs and the way we failed to sign centre backs for not just 1 year, but 2, 3, 4, 5 transfer seasons right now. Since we lost Thiago Silva, and then when he went away, and probably Rudiger as well, we had no centre back replacements. Look where we are now. I'm just saying. You guys can go back to the shows that we've done back in the days. This is where I pointed out, and it's still today. It's so valid. It's my statements on centre back has aged like a fine wine, and it still stands today. Until we don't sign an experienced centre back and build a spine right through the defense, I don't think so. We're gonna go do good there. So this is about the sporting director. This is not just the centre back point. We failed with the Maignan deal. We failed with the Xavi Simons deal, and we can go on and on about it. We very well knew the fact that we should have had another striker in the team, right? Look at where we are in the striker situation as well. Things are looking bad, and they have failed miserably, right? Let's come down to Maresca now, right? I acknowledge the fact that Probably he's not very happy with the squad that he has, at least from his perspective, that the bench strength should have quality. This is what I'm getting from, right? Because the transfer market hasn't been 100% acknowledged. We don't have a world-class keeper, acknowledged. Center back, we're missing couple of players minimum, acknowledged. Attackers, we've fumbled a lot. Xavi Simons couldn't happen. We couldn't get another striker, acknowledged. He doesn't have a full-fledged bench strength to go into a season with a UCL, acknowledged. Maybe I can understand that part. But with whatever you have in this as a resource, you are bound to utilize that now, since things are getting scarce now, right? Things are getting in a crucial stage. You are bound to use those resources, whatever you have in your hand. And if you're not doing that,
We don't have the transfer window open. The transfer window is not open.
right, and whatever we have, I acknowledge that you don't have the optimal quality, but at least you have the quantity. Why not go out and try to use that, right? And if you don't use that and then try to make stupid decisions after stupid decisions, game in, game out, game in, game out, and it becomes a pattern where every manager coming out exposes you brutally, that's a problem. And that's on you, Mr. Maresca, making the squad look weak. Let's come down and talk about the players. It seems like everybody's playing in some school football competition. What is happening, man? Red cards after red cards. What is happening, man? We'd get more lesser red cards when we used to play back in the school, and we used to kick left, right, and center, right? What is happening? None of the players are taking their responsibility. It feels like the players are, just hovering around here and there, running like headless chickens with no maturity. Second half, absolute BS. The last match, and not just the last match, look at the chain of 3, 4, 5, 6 matches. It has been the most immature performance from the most mature players in the squad. That is where my problem is. Look at Enzo Fernandez. Last match, he's got a goal, but overall, look at the change of performance he's given. It's been totally outclassed by the opposition, right? Look at someone like the centre back pairings, Chalobah, that we started believing in him, that he's been good. Look at his downfall. Tosin, now he's injured, but look at his downfall as well. Reece James, there are flaws, right? Joao Pedro, we thought that he could be the, he could outshine everybody and start performing. He's looking lackluster. Maybe it's not just on him. Of course, Maresca's decision also helps in the downfall, but then the individual performance is also going down. So, Miz, every section, every area has to be blamed for. And I'm sorry, if you ask me how do we improve, that's of course a later part of the question for the show. But we are going on a huge turmoil and a huge downfall. I don't know how we get this fixed, man.
Ishan, you are on fire, brother. You are on fire. You're spot on. That's how I see it as well. That it's a collective F up, an absolute collective F up. Arian, I want to now bring you into this conversation. Lots of people, they consistently want to talk about sporting directors, owners, sporting directors, owners. I have taught, as you've said, Arian, you've watched my channel for so long. I don't know how I've gone from being supposedly negative to toxic positive, and now I'm all of a sudden negative again. That's why I say I can never win in this industry. By the way, just a news for you going into the content making in this Chelsea community. You will never win. You will never ever win. For some people, you're toxic. For some people, you're negative. That's how you're always going to be branded, right? I've said in recent times that, and not just in recent times, since the owners took over, I have laid out all their flaws. Honestly, Arian, owners came in, they didn't need to change everything so drastically, but they did. Mistake number one, they chopped and changed several managers without actually really studying what is required for the football club, right? Mistake number two. Then they've had several players in and out, in and out, in and out. Mistake number three. They treated it as a trading ground, like a stock exchange. I've said it many times. Chelsea Football Club is a stock exchange. But Arian, through all of this, entering this season and off the back of making Champions League, winning the Conference League, getting the Club World Cup, I thought I can sit here and complain and moan and bitch all day long. But is that being healthy? I started to look at things. You know what? Let's look at all the little things that they've started to do better. All the little bits and pieces. I can sit here and focus on all the wrongs that they're doing. But I thought, you know what? Let me try and flip that and look at all the positives that we're slowly trying to build. I just truly felt something was building before the start of this season. I felt like that. Now, it's crashed on my head. It's absolutely crashed on my head top. And now it's just the entire club is melting, right? And I have all of these people in the live chat that are consistently saying, owners, sporting directors, owners, sporting directors. And Arian, I want to ask you, brother, what can we do? Ishan literally just said, these are the two components that is probably the most difficult to get rid of. Like, how do I, you've said to me the other day, you've worked in a corporate environment. How do you get rid of the corporate? Like, how do you get rid of the corporation? How can I get rid of the corporation? So I want to ask you, where do you see the situation with Chelsea Football Club right now?
So I think 2 or 3 points I think immediately pop up. I think the first valid point that you made, Miz, was the fact that we've chopped and changed a lot of managers, right? If you go back and kind of just try to make sense of the fact that we got rid of a serial winner in Thomas Tuchel, I think for me that's where it all started. I was not in agreement with the fact that Tuchel should have been let go so early, because he's won the Champions League for us. It was similar to Roberto Di Matteo, who also lost his job in the following season after he'd won the Champions League for us. You can say that Di Matteo is probably not the long-term alternative, a long-term solution when you talk about a managerial capacity, and that's probably gotten proven over the years, because he's not taken up that sort of a managerial role in a top club after he left Chelsea. So that gets validated there and there, right? But when you look at the fact that a serial winner like Thomas Tuchel, who's now in charge of the English national team, it speaks volumes about his credibility in the footballing world, his achievements, and what he really stands for, right? Which is winning, which is what Chelsea stands for. We stand for winning. And that's hence the sort of anger that I'm able to see from both of you. And we're able to see that across the ecosystem when you talk about all of the other Chelsea fans, right? You might have seen some of the other post-match reactions all through. I mean, after the United game, after yesterday's game, after a draw with Brentford, who is happy? Who is really happy? I accept the fact that some of the players are trying to really create that sort of a positive environment. I don't really see anyone on the outside who's happy. If you just look back at yesterday's game, and I have this fond recollection of the fact that the camera zoomed in on Vedad Iqbali around the 70th, 75th minute of the game. I remember that. So we were 1-0 up at that time, although we were a man down, but you could clearly see on his face, there were two things that came out, right? So one was the fact that he felt nervous, and he felt, and this is him being part of the ownership for only the last 2 years. He hasn't seen Chelsea over the last 10 to 15 years, how we end up choking games, right? How we end up dropping points. So considering that fact, he was nervous. He knew a result is probably not on the cards here. We might end up dropping points, and that eventually turned out to be true, right? And the second bit, and this is more importantly the bit that both of y'all were also discussing before kind of gave the podium to me, was the fact that there was a bit of a guilt that I was able to see, that he was not able to support Maresca's need for a central defender, a ball playing central defender, a goalkeeper. You would argue that Maignan would have probably made us stronger, right? Because there is no one who can compete with Sanchez and Jorgensen. Until the time you don't have people competing for key positions like a goalkeeper, who, which is a position which is like a wicket keeper in cricket, right? If you're making saves, it's your job. If you're fumbling, it's a miss. It gets all the headlines. It will cost you goals, right? So as simple as that. I mean, you could see the guilt on his face, and I think it probably just sums up the entire emotion. The second bit is the fact that, let's say, a player like Raheem Sterling was kind of brought in, and the hefty wages that he's at, because of that, the transfer policy completely changed to an incentive-based transfer policy. So earlier it was more
Lukaku as well. I think the issues with Lukaku as well created this mess.
Right. We somehow miss we were able to kind of get rid of Lukaku, but look where we are with Sterling. We're paying him 12 million pounds a year, right? That's a decent fee to probably sign a player. You probably couldn't bridge that differential when it comes to signing Mania for 5 million. You could have probably let go of Sterling and you had the money available to you, right, to get him. And he was keen to come to Chelsea Football Club, right? And the third point is the fact that you'd agree with me. Uh, when we were going into the 24-25 season, last season, right? Uh, and now that we're heading into the 25-26 season and the 6 games have been played, you'd argue that we are a better bunch of players. We have a better bunch of players with us. When you just look at the players in terms of the quality that they bring in, right? You've got one of the most promising young prospects there is out there in world football in Esteban Willian, right? Who we've probably been guilty of not having assimilated and provided that bedding process to a young player who comes into a new league, comes into a new system. We all understand the challenges of the Premier League, the physical demands of the league, and we've probably not given him that sort of an environment to really like flourish, because there's a lot of responsibility on him right from day one, right? Whereas the responsibility should probably lie with our experienced bunch of players. So I think these are a couple of the points which I felt is being a miss as of now. But yeah, slowly and steadily we have to kind of get into winning ways, right?
Do you know what, Arian? You brought up a really good point, and I want to bring in Ishan on this one. Ishan, people consistently talk about this squad's not good enough. This squad's not good enough. We need experience. We need to. We can't keep having all of these kids. And I've defended that in recent times. That, come on, man, we've got quite a lot of good players. But Arian said something really, really interesting, which I want you to think about, and the live chat as well. Do you think there is some parts of this ownership that's been a little bit scared or put off by the situation of Raheem Sterling, Romelu Lukaku, and many others that were on high wages, Ben Chilwell, so on and so forth? Do you think they've just got to the point that, look, we can't afford to make these mistakes? I'm sorry. We rather have players that are on low wages, make mistakes, get rid of them. No problems. So there's that. On the other hand, from a fan's perspective, what we are saying that I don't care about any of this. I don't care. You get me the next best player. You get me you get me the Gyökeres. You get me either the Osimhen. You get me either the Isak, whoever. Why is it Liverpool going after Isak? Why isn't Chelsea going after Isak? Why is it Liverpool got someone like Van Dijk? Why doesn't Chelsea have a stature like Van Dijk in defense? Why is it that Man City have Donnarumma? Why can't Chelsea have a stature like that? Isha, where do you stand? Like, considering we don't make enough money. That's the honest truth. People say, "Oh, but Miz, that's a lie. That's a lie. Our owners have a lot of money." It's not about owners having money. It's about the club making money. If it was about owners just injecting money, you think people wouldn't just buy all of these clubs, and these Arab owners, for example, just punch? Look at Newcastle. You think they're Newcastle? You think they're poor? They're owned by the Saudi
richest owners in the world, man.
Richest owners. But look how every other player rejected them.
Yeah.
In the transfer window. Look how it's not about owners having money. It's about the club generating income. So, Ishan, I don't want you to be influenced by what I'm saying. I want you to say, how do you feel about all of these high wages? How do you feel about our wage structure? How do you feel about us not buying all of these key players anymore? All of this, does this affect Chelsea Football Club?
No, miss. I look at it from the perspective that the approach has been extreme from both the ends, right? So since this manager has taken over, or probably before this manager was taken over, things were all over the place with regards to wage structure. We've spoken about this plenty of times. I remember back in 2022, 2023, when that switch was happening from Roman to the new owners and all those stuff. We were speaking of this, the wage structure, the players that we're buying in. We us being so careless about the wages, and also the lack of quality, and the imbalance in wages that we're being providing to the lack of quality players, who are not even giving the optimal output that they are supposed to be, right? This was all in the Roman era. Come to this owner, now they've seen the worst part of that case, where the wage structure is all over the place. They need to fix things up. Now they've taken an approach. Since buying this club, they've taken an approach. One is to, of course, lower down the wage structure, right? The average wage limit should be well below a par of 100, 150. I mean, no, that's not even the average of from as far as I can remember, but yeah, somewhat of that range. But yeah, lower it down significantly from what it was earlier on. I rate that decision, right? They've also taken an approach of this, bringing in new player, very young players, and then probably selling them for some good amount of profit, and then probably elevating the profitability of the entire club. Somewhere
Well,
down the
look,
line,
no,
I
Noni,
understand that.
Noni, say for example, Noni Madueke. We bought him for I think 30 something, sold him
Yeah,
for
Nani
42.
Madueke is one example, but also you see like Cesare Cassidy, right? And
Yeah,
all
we
of
made
these,
money. Renato
we made
Vega.
money, right? Renato Vega, we made money, right? And Conor Gallagher, we made money, right? So all these players, these new young budding talents, we buy from all around the world, not from the intention of them starting or playing for Chelsea right from the beginning, but then probably if they nurture to become one, then they of course come around and play for Chelsea. If not, then of course we sell them for a better amount from what we bought, right? Giving us a clear profit. I read that too. I think so. I agree to that, right? The the entire perception changed, and the fan base didn't like, because earlier on, Miz, the buyings that we used to do majorly it used to be for our first team, majorly for first team, either for starting lineup or at least for the reserves or the bench, right? Now the perception changed. These new owners came in and they said that now look, we're gonna follow a new model. We're gonna buy a hell lot of players and then probably gonna sell them for more profit. FC, right? I think so. I understand that. But the mistake that they did is, and also this comes to the wage part, right, where they've lowered down the wage significantly, trying to buy quality players under less wages. That's what we've seen. But if you go from left extreme all the way to right extreme, that's the problem, right? Now we know the fact that you've successfully, by virtue of 2 3 4 years of whatever you've tried to do in the transfer market, you've lowered down the wage limit of the entire club. But you very well know the fact that in your playing 11 there is a huge requirement of quality experienced players as well. So knowing the fact that there are some flaws in the team, why not, at least for certain case scenarios, go out and give the wage to the players who actually would come out and deliver, right? In that case, why do you compromise? In that case, why do you go back and say like, oh, we're gonna buy someone like a I don't know, we're gonna give opportunities to someone like a Achempong and probably make him the second option? Fine, but who's your starter? Who's like your spine? Who's gonna Achempong look up to? Fofana? Who's gonna Fofana look up to? He's already invisible in the entire season for injuries, right? Who is your like a proper starter, right? Who is the replacement for Antonio Rudiger? Who's the replacement for Thiago Silva, right?
But do you think Ishan, they are scared? Do you think they're just scarred and scared? So they've been scarred and they've been scared that, look, let's say for argument's sake, who do you think is an up and coming brilliant defender in world football right now? Both of you guys. Who do you think is
Bastoni?
a top? Would you guys agree, Bastoni? Yeah, perhaps Bastoni is a
maybe Hoyson, because
okay.
he fits the profile of a ball
and we were,
which we needed.
And we were going for Hoyson, right? We were going for Hoyson. Yeah. Now I don't know how much wages he's on at Real Madrid, this, that, the other. But let's just say Ishan, Bastoni or Hoyson, you're talking about, right? Are these guys scared to give someone big wage Because what if it doesn't work out, then financially you're screwed. Are they operating in a coward manner? Like,
But yeah, I
because
mean, I
financially they're going to get hurt.
totally understand your point. Totally understand your point. They are scared, yes, but the situation from when they took over the club is completely different to now. They're somewhat stabilized, neutralized, and took the situation to extreme right side of things. Whereas when they took over the club, this situation was with the case of multiple players. You had the likes of Lukaku, Sterling, and I don't know how many players with those enormous amount of wages with so less amount of output that they had a huge headache in their head, that and also the age factor coming in, right? That how do we get profit out of these players, or probably even get something out of these players, right? So there were plenty of
Ishan,
examples that you could take out of
not
it.
just those players. Havertz was on good big wages.
Yeah,
I believe Kovacic was on decent wages. Jorginho, so on and so forth.
Kepa,
Do you know what I mean?
Kepa as well, right?
Kepa.
So
Oh my God, Kepa was on big wages.
so there were plenty of players, Miz. You could say that, like, for every position there were at least one player, or so you would say that, the wage is enormous, and they had to literally think of how to get rid of the situation, right? Now, since they got rid of the situation, and now they've come to a place where the average wage limit is quite low comparatively to what it was. Now you know that the things are under control. You're under your control, right? The way you've tried to manage it, well and good. But you also know that there are massive flaws in the team, for which you need some good, proven, experienced players, to shape the team up.
Mhm.
So why do you compromise in those situations? And look where we've fallen down in this place, right? Look at the centre back situation. Look at the goalkeeping situation. Look at the striker situation. João Pedro running around like a headless chicken here and there, without any support. So here's where my point is. I acknowledge that you've done certain things right to cover things up, right? Like the wage structure, and some players who not giving output and just staying put in the club. Sterling is still, by the way, on headache, right? That we've yet to resolve. But the thing is, why do you kind of lose your focus and try to go to extreme, right? Why not come into the middle ground and be like, all right, probably we needed a winger, right? So instead of like a Gittins and Garnacho, probably we should have not opted for those two, and probably got Rodrigo, maybe. Do you know what I mean? Someone like instead of getting someone like a Buonanotte, why not we just could have got a Xavi Simons? These guys are quality. Maybe they could have built our squad well, and they could have taken a squad to an upgraded level to take on the next season, not just Premier League but also there's the UCL. Now you're sitting in this place where, all right, our wage structure is splendid. It's very good. It's within 100K per week. But look at your squad. You're not believing in Garnacho. You don't believe in Gittins. Mark, you didn't get a single kick on the ball. Didn't get a single sniff of the grass, right? And you're staying beside and saying that, all right, my wage structure is good. What the hell would I do with that? When your main team is struggling, when you're playing 11, forget about the bench. Your playing 11 is struggling, and you're sitting out there and being like, yeah, my wage structure is good. I don't want to give big wage. What's the point? What's the point? At least find a common ground. At least find the biggest flaws in your team, and at least have two, three players minimum, 4 players. You can have that who has a wage limit of maybe 200, 250K, 300K. It's fine. One or two odd players were actually required. Just think about it. If our squad would have got someone like a Alexander Isak, how good it would have been, right? That wasn't the problem, the wage bill. Why didn't we even step a foot on a fight to sign someone like a Victor Gyökeres? Or maybe why did we give up on Osimhen, right? Osimhen wanted to join a club, right? So why did we give up on these battles where we could have definitely bolstered our squad, but probably we just backed down? Why? Because of this stupid wage narrative that these sporting directors or owners have in their mind.
Do you know what, Ishan? You've nailed it in many areas. And once again, I want to ask Arian and live chat. I don't know why they think that I'm not trying to say the truth. I'm literally trying to create a bit of a debate here. I'm trying to explore all the different avenues. How many times have I said, do you think I don't want Isak in my team? Do you think I don't want some top defenders in my team? Do you think, as I said, I was more focused on what I have, and I believe that what I have was still competitive enough. I never ever said that, oh, I'm so glad we don't do this business. No, it hurts. It hurts. And I want to bring Arian again into this conversation. Arian, as Ishan was sort of alluded, sure, we might have got the wage structure in order, but have we gone, as per his words, Ishan's word, have we gone so extreme that we don't have a balance in the squad? Like, is that how you see that, this, all the finances, fair enough, you've cut down, you've got rid of all of the big wages, you've cut it down, but now you've left a squad that is probably not able to compete. I mean, how did you feel, Arian, off the back of the summer window closing, and you looked at the squad? Were you concerned about the whole situation?
Yeah, I think no, Ishan made a very spot on point there about how we've kind of transitioned, and the ultimate point here is the fact that when you change your entire wage structure and how you go about your entire transfer policy, how you act on the market, what are the players that you then approach to kind of bring to your club, whether or not those players suit your system, I think there has to be a fine balance that has to be struck, right, between how, whether or not you're competitive out there, and how are you able to then balance your books also, right? So when you look at Cole Palmer, and there was a very interesting table that had come up once the when the Ballon d'Or top 10 list was revealed, and it included the wages of all of the players who were part of the top 10. Cole Palmer was literally earning half of the other players that were there on that list. So
Wow.
he's
Is
at
that
around
true?
six.
Is that
Yes,
true?
yes, yes. Yeah. I'll give you the figure. So Cole Palmer is around 6 to 8 million in terms of per annum, in terms of wages. And if you look at like a Lamine Yamal, he's probably 15 to 17 million. And Mbappe, I don't even want to get into that territory, what he's earning at Madrid, because there are image rights, etc., also involved there. And Ishan is nodding, and I think he agrees to the fact that you have to strike a balance, right? Ultimately, Miss, because when you have such a fixed sort of a structure, when you talk about wages, things are set in stone. There are, you already eliminate 90% of the players who are likely Chelsea players who would really add value to the to the squad and make you more competitive, given the fact that you're competing in various competitions and the levels have now increased. You're not participating in a Europa League, or you aren't participating in the Conference League, that you can afford to maybe omit a Wesley Fofana and a Cole Palmer from your group stage phases, and then probably have them come into the knockout phases of the competition. They have to be involved right from the first match week of the Champions League. So you don't have that luxury anymore. So that means that you have to field in your best players, right, across all competitions. And then you have your main starting 11, which is mostly featuring week in, week out, and in fact playing 2 games in a week. So look at what Arsenal have done. Look at what Liverpool have done, right? Like you all said about the fact that they went out there and got an Isaac. They went out there and got Ekitike. Was there a need to probably add Isaac after you've got an Ekitike? You'd argue, right? But then
Yeah.
in our case, it becomes even more glaring to us that we didn't
We
have
we we
another third
we we
option.
got we got we got Gittins and Garnacho. They got Isak and Ekitike. Like, that's the
Exactly.
difference.
And then they also got Wirtz, who's yet to make a debut for Liverpool, you'd say. But they at least have a world class
The
player.
new 007, by the way. The new 007.
But you get my point, right? He's right up there in terms of the top 15, top 20 talents
Yeah.
in the world. I'm not really talking about prospect here. He's done that for Bayer Leverkusen. He's won them the league. He's
Yeah.
a regular starter for the German national team, a very integral part of the entire German national team, and he will feature heavily in the World Cup next year, despite whatever his form is for Liverpool, right? I
Yeah.
think that's where the miss comes. I am not sure what really happened with Xavi Simons, because all through we were in the race for him. And then when you look at it, it's so funny to just imagine that we were able to settle for Bonanotte. Was he really one of those players that our entire scouting team had in mind that, what, if nothing works out, we'll go get him?
That's so true.
It does not make
That's
sense
so
to
true.
me. It does not, because you don't even have an obligation there, or maybe you don't have an option to make that move permanent. So then your
We're the
ego minds,
we're the
right?
development club. We're the development club. We're developing their
And
player.
then pass it over to them. And then you never know, we might be negotiating a 40-50 million odd euro fee with them
Oh,
next
oh
summer,
shit!
which will be
Oh shit!
bonkers. Just to
Can you
imagine, right?
imagine? We develop their player and then we give them the money for. What type of chutiapa is this, bro?
Spot on, man. So,
Nah, but nah, you know what? No, look, Ishan. I've never said these owners and sporting directors are flawless, bro. I've never ever said that. Live chat in the last few months have been on my case. You've seen it. Many people have seen it. I have never ever said these guys were angels or anything like that. I've done many videos on this channel with Yunus elaborating exactly what things were wrong. But as you've said, I want to now shift because I can sit here and talk about owners and sporting directors till the cows come home. That's not going to change that's not going to change anything. Yeah, it's not really going to change anything. I've got Brighton fans in the show as well. Look at this, bro. I got Brighton fans on the channel
Big
laughing at
up, big
us.
up to the Brighton fans, man.
This
Fair
is
play.
what we've turned out to be. We've turned out to be a laughing stock again. We've got Brighton people coming and laughing at us. Big up, man! Congratulations on the win. You're still a smaller brother. Remember that. So, Ishan, I can sit here and talk about owners and directors, and look, we've spent 41 minutes talking about them. When do we come to the point that ultimately also, and we're going to get to the players because there's quite a bit to talk about the players. Enzo Maresca, this is your second season now.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, no one's asking you to perform some sort of a miracle here because when you look at the fixtures like Brentford, Man United, and Brighton, I don't necessarily think you need miracles to beat these teams. You need to be competitive to beat these teams. We're not talking about Real Madrid, Barcelona, Inter Milan, or PSG. Like, we're not talking about, oh shit, we need miracles. Liverpool, like, we need miracles. We're talking about Brentford, Man United, Brighton. So, Ishan, I want to ask you, at what point do we say, Enzo Maresca, are you also doing the right thing or not? A lot of people, no, you can't talk about Enzo Maresca. I'm sorry, can't talk, because first get rid of the owners and the sporting directors, then come to me talk about Enzo. Are we actually going to sit here and pretend he's doing everything right? From the first game of the season, Crystal Palace, to all the games that has taken place till now, are we going to sit here and say, do you know what? This brother has been bang on every little moment, and I can't put a blame. Like, has he done the best of his ability to what he's been given?
No, look, when it comes to Maresca, we know the reality. We know the ground reality, and it's like a common thing in football, right? The first axe that falls when things go left is on the manager, right? And this is gonna be the same case. It's not gonna be different. Did Maresca do everything right since he's taken over at Chelsea? No. Did he do everything wrong since taking over Chelsea? No. He's somewhere in the common ground, but somewhere his how do I say, maybe it is a lack of experience, or his carelessness, or his overthinking, or I don't know what it is with Maresca, but some decisions that he's taken, and especially since the beginning of this season, especially, and also the last season, the downfall that we had in the last season, that was something different. But this is also something different. Like, the pattern we are seeing in this downfall is something crazy. But US somewhere down the line, right, miss, that there are things that he does straight away correct and good, right? For example, look at the starting lineup that he picked against Brighton. I think so I was okay with that. I think so I was content. I think so it made sense to me, because this is what we were talking about. We were talking about the options, right? Even in our last pre-show that I remember, We're talking about the options that we can use, the players that are who are not in form. Tosin's now out due to injury. Who can we start? How should we start? I think so. He tried to do the best that we had, at least in terms of the starting lineup. Now,
Hmm.
why has this pattern happened? Now, like I told you in the previous aftermath episode as well, right? That a certain pattern is happening, and like I told you, even in this game, even guys, go back to the previous aftermath episode and just see what I said, right? That there
Hmm.
are certain scenarios at which we start playing bad and concede. Miss, I told you that, right? One is by pressure, by a lot of I mean
Hmm.
press by the opposition, right? Second, long balls, overhead balls, right? Third, set piece, right? And
Hmm.
fourth, individual mistakes. This is what I said to previous
Yeah.
aftermath episode. What has happened in the Brighton game? To narrate me these three goals and tell me if anything else has happened apart from the 4 points that I've said. All the three goals fall under this,
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah.
right? And where was the downfall point from the Brighton game? It was that red card. I don't know what happens to Maresca when he sees that red. He becomes a bull or something. He starts charging and loses his mind. He starts. I don't know what kind of. And this is what I was speaking to you, Miss, in the last episode as well. That how does he lose his intention, his approach to the game entirely just by virtue of one red card? One red card does not mean you start packing up bags and start crying in the corner. We have won games by virtue of red card, man. We have won games. Forget about even drawing games. We've come back from behind and won games even with red cards, man. I don't know how just one red card changes your entire approach, your entire mentality, and you become the most defensive mindset manager and expecting that same from a team who is so bad at defending at the moment. You're expecting to do that duty, which miss in an academic calendar for a student here. You've got 5 subjects, right. I've got subjects, for example, your kid has got 5 subjects, right. Out of those 5 subjects here, maths is the one that he hates the most, but the rest 4 he likes, and then he'll kill it, right. Now, of course, there is a practice that you need to do maths every time, right? But you forget all those 4 subjects and study maths the entire year. Are you going to pass the other 4 subjects or not? No, right? So, what is Maresca trying to do here? Trying to expect the same defending from the team that who's bad at defending each and every time. We expect them to defend well. This is same thing that has happened in the Bayern Munich game, Man United game, and now this game as well. Lincoln as well. Good thing that we started scoring against Lincoln and we probably edged it to a 2-1 win. But this pattern is now visible in this game as well. That they've pressed hard, they've got the goal. Second, bro, first half. I'm gonna be honest with you, man. First half, I think so. We were doing good. We were doing decent. I thought so. We had the control in game. Whoa, okay.
Bro,
This,
I thought we played very good first half, and I got
yeah.
grilled for that as well. I got grilled. Live
No,
chat
no,
saying,
no.
look at this guy accepting the first half. What did we do in the first? I thought, look, it's not some sort of a bombastic first, but we played good.
Yeah.
Brighton,
Look,
Did play
Brighton's
good.
a team. We played good, right? Like Brighton's a team, lads.
Yeah.
They go and bop the opposition around. Brighton had nothing in the first half.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Look, I was confident the way we were moving. Yeah, and look, I know wasn't the creme de la creme first half. We've seen better halves, definitely. But comparatively to the games that we've, performed against, the way we've performed against Bayern, Man United, Lincoln as well, at the first half was really pathetic, right? Comparatively to that, this was a better performance, right? And I expected to go next level in the second half. What just happened? Oh my days. The point that I made, they pressed us hard, that red card again couldn't have done much. Chalobah couldn't have done much, but we made a mistake in the midfield, and that's how the red card came up. Now, once that red card came up, Bro, I swear, I just knew that this match is gone. I just knew. Maresca does not know how to manage a squad with a 10-man. That's like written. Just write it down in a bond paper. He does not know a squad how to manage a 10-man squad. Again, he capitulated. Stupid, foolish decisions. There are certain players who didn't even smell a grass in Maresca's tenure. He decided not to show them up again. Some players, again, he went to defensive mentality. We were 5 at the back, like proper 5 defenders, 1 DMF there as well. Again, that defensive mentality. if you've taken off Estevao Willian, right, and you've again literally cut the foot off, right, so that we cannot attack anymore. Joao Pedro just hanging up there. He's isolated. He's isolated right there, just in the front, and nobody around him, right, to create more spaces. Bro, these are some decisions that Maresca has to be accountable of. And if these are some like very easy visual mistakes that is now so patternized that is it is being viewed game after game, and this is totally on Maresca. I'm sorry, I cannot blame this for on players. I cannot blame this on someone up top or the owners. I know, like again, I understand the bench strength is not there. Probably the maybe Maresca expected better, but like I told you, the resources that you have, if you're already in a goal deficit, or you're lagging in a game, just try to go all guns blazing, man. You've already got nothing to lose. Why show that defensive mentality, and why show that degraded approach? I just don't understand that. And this is for Maresca to blame. I just hope this pattern does not go forward for the next upcoming games, or we are screwed. We're already screwed, by the way, but I just don't want us to get screwed further.
No, man. Absolutely well said. Arian, we want to continue with this talk about Enzo Maresca. In your opinion, in your view so far, do you feel he's done everything possible? Like few people are saying in the live chat that even last season when we were 10, one man down, when we were playing with 10 against Newcastle, we looked a lot more, we looked a lot more courageous. We looked like we want to do something. We look very cowardice this season. Almost every game. Forget about the ones where we had a man down, but in most other games, we tend to look a little bit cowardice. Do you feel that's partly because what Enzo Maresca is doing in terms of game management, or do you feel he's cowardice because he's maybe not happy of the composition of the squad that's been given to him? Where do you sit with Enzo Maresca? Are you satisfied with him right now?
The latter. I guess it's the latter means that you pointed out. He's probably not happy with the combination, at least as per the current scenario, because see, I mean, even Babas talks about this very, very often, right? Maresca is so rigid when it comes to his structure and the system that he plays that when you don't have a player like Colville, you really struggle to build out from the back. But yesterday, I was very surprised when Miz you pointed out the fact that um, the chat wasn't happy with the first half performance that we put in. I mean, for me, it felt like a breath of fresh air. To be very honest with you, the way we were playing in the first half, dominating large phases of the game, 70% plus control of the ball, and not just control of the ball. When you talk about slow, methodical, monotonous build up that is really associated with us, every time that our players got the ball, the intent was to go forward. The intent was to progress with the ball. João Pedro looked great. Cucurella, Caicedo, as usual, those are the guys who always step up. Enzo stepped up. You had all of these guys who just wanted to not play those lateral balls that we are so well known for, and we wanted to create chances. We really
Have we lost Arian again?
Yeah.
He's back. Oh, maybe he's back. Arian,
Vince
you there,
McMahon
brother?
cutting his mic off.
Vince McMahon's like, you know what? You're talking too much facts. We can't have that. You're talking too much facts.
He's giving the pipe bomb, Chelsea pipe bomb.
Chelsea pipe bomb, man. I think Arian should be back. Hopefully, he's going to be back. But yeah, look. Bottom line, I'm sure he'll be back soon. But let's continue. Look, for me, Ishan, I felt even with things that are not perfect in terms of the squad composition, I have to say that there's been certain parts where I haven't been biggest fan of Maresca. And I by the way, echo.
Arian, it's from your end, I guess.
Yeah. So as I was saying, like I've got no issues. I've never been Maresca out. I think Maresca is a good, manager, but I still feel like he hasn't been getting the best out of
And I think so.
what
This
has
is a
been
very
given to him.
interesting spanner as well, Miz. Like you just borrowed this point, right? That Maresca out or not.
Hmm.
Like I'm in the state where I'm neutral. But the thing is, whoever comes in, does it change anything? I mean, the Maresca issues would be solved, right? And I think so. That's just one case that we can come up and say that, yeah, maybe the mistakes done by Maresca side is going to get solved. But what about the mistakes that we did in the transfer market? What about the mistakes from up top, right? What about the mistakes from the players who are already we're relying on and banking on and being confident that these players are going to take us to the next level, and not performing optimally? So I agree on, and I agree and disagree to both these narratives that Maresca should be out or not. But what much bigger difference would it make? Because I think so. As we stand, it's not just about Maresca getting sacked and probably a new manager coming in. That would probably dilute the mistakes that Maresca has been doing in past 4, 5, 6 games. But overall, if you look, probably the bench strength and the quality in the bench strength is not that much that a new manager would come up and probably take us right to top two conversation, right? So maybe it's just more than the conversation should be just more than a manager or sacking a manager. So it has to be few drastic changes to bring something.
I also believe in that. And Arian, come back into it. You was talking
Yeah, yeah,
about
yeah.
Enzo Maresca.
Yeah, apologies for the dodgy internet, guys. But yeah, just to build
That's
on
all right.
that point, Miss, at the current, when you just look at the present scenario, right? I think for now we have to stick with Maresca for the at least the next 10 to 15 games, and then probably review the situation mid-November. So players are back from international break around mid-October, and then we have a good run of games until the November international window, right? But
Honestly, Arian, I've got
yeah,
zero problems with. I don't have much problems with Enzo Maresca.
right.
I really don't. Of all
Myself.
the matches with, if even yesterday, a lot of people are
Hmm.
very upset with his in-game management and his
Hmm.
substitutions and whatnot. And we're going to talk about players very soon. I didn't have any problems with what he did. If I'm being absolutely honest, 1-0
Right.
up, protecting a lead. I really didn't have anything problem. My only problem so far this season has been the Man United game, where I felt like
Hmm.
Enzo Maresca, completely lost that game for us. But besides that, all the other games, I don't have any issues with this guy. The lineup I'm okay with. Some of the subs that he's been making, I'm okay with. Okay, some of the stuff, some of the subs, I feel like he can make it a little bit earlier. Bayern Munich,
Hmm.
I felt he could make it a little bit earlier. Ishan mentioned that utilization of marquee and these, he could utilize the squad a lot better. I've been saying that, but I don't think he's the biggest problem at Chelsea Football Club. But yeah, continue.
Absolutely not. I think I echo with your thought as well as Ishan's. Um, when you look at when we were discussing about Thomas Tuchel, right? The closest manager who is great in a 1v1 scenario, manager to manager, right, is probably Enzo Maresca out there. Even if we let him go, okay, hypothetically we let him go. Who is out there to help bail us out? Who is a manager on the market right now when Mourinho has also joined Benfica, who could have possibly bailed us out because he knows the culture of the club, but he might not have worked out with the owners because he would have had
That's
a
the
clash
thing.
there.
So, so,
Yeah,
so we have to understand that even if we sack someone like Enzo Maresca, the next manager is not going to be someone that we want or the fan
exactly.
base wants, because the next manager has to be someone that these owners and directors get along
Right.
with, and then
Absolutely. That's the point.
your shortlist becomes even shorter. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Then the pool of managers out there is actually not that many. You know what I mean?
So then we go back to our previous point when we were discussing players who we could possibly get into the squad. When you already have a narrow set of players that you can ideally chase given the transfer policy that's there and the wage structure that you follow, and you also then have a narrow pool of managers to select from. So then you're caught in a double whammy there, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I don't
100%. Yeah.
personally have, yeah, I don't personally have an issue with Maresca, at least not as of now. I think he should be at the helm. But you know what? When you look back at the game against Man United, I think he completely sabotaged us. He sabotaged our entire chance of getting a result from that game, getting a draw. That's not the bold Chelsea, the courageous Chelsea that we're used to seeing, because we've been watching Chelsea for over 15, 20 years now, right? And
Yeah.
this is not how we operate. You remember we've gotten results at the Camp Nou against Barcelona, being 10 men, right? That's not how we show up. That's not how we turn up. That's not how we react to certain situations that don't go in our favor, that work against us. Yesterday, you'd argue, I think there's just one substitution which I felt uh, could have been made earlier, and there was one substitution I felt which was needless. So one was Bardiashil. I think he could have been brought on slightly earlier because he was our best bet when it comes to winning aerial duels. Why would you bring him on after the scores are level, right? Does that
Very
make
good point.
sense?
Yeah,
The
that
second
does.
point
Yeah,
is
you're right.
Lavia. Are we a charity club here who's giving out minutes to people who are recovering from injury? No. You need a result there. The scores are level 1-1. Do you really need someone who can
Yeah.
help you out in midfield?
Where's
Was
Gittens? Where's
midfield the
Garnacho?
problem? Yeah.
Yeah.
Was midfield the problem, or do we have a problem of players who aren't there, who can give you that counter-attacking threat, who can, be, offer that a bit of running option alongside João Pedro? He had nothing to work with. Did João Pedro really have anything to work with? Did he even have a shot through the entire game? Do you expect your striker not to have a shot through the entire game? There has to be something created for him, right? Why is he picking up the ball in such deep areas? You need someone else to do that. And even if he's doing that, then you probably need another false nine to work with him. Probably then Neto could have played that role up front ahead of João Pedro. He's probably done that earlier. He could run behind the channel. That's not a threat that we were able to deploy against Brighton, right? Because we didn't have running options. You had you had the Brighton right back who was on an early yellow card in the 8th minute itself. Did we threaten him? Did we
Very
try
good
to
point.
get him on a second yellow to level in terms of men on the pitch for each side? No, we did not. I'm just saying we are not
Now,
creating enough chaos for the other team, and
now
that's
this
why.
is this is a very good point, Ishan. Let's now talk about the game from when the red card happened and the players and the capitulation that took place, because I think this is now important to talk about. Ishan, Arian brought up a really good point. And maybe when I was watching the game, I was just so broken at that point. I probably didn't focus too much on what was being substituted, who was coming on. My head was already, I was just so upset. So, Ishan, 1-0 at halftime, played well. We should have scored a few more because we really did, put in a good performance to get a few more goals in the first half. My natural feeling was that we're going to come back in the second half and we're going to finish off this match, because that naturally I'm thinking you played well against a team that's not shown anything. Naturally, you're going to come out and you're going to continue on that hard work, and you're going to try and finesse this team off now. Ishan, everything was on track. Nothing was actually giving me indications. Ooh, Brighton's coming back. Calamity struck when Andre Santos, I don't know, I guess this is the immaturity, this is him being young, at a very bad time, and it turned out to be an absolute fatal error. He was one of the last men standing. He's holding the ball, dilly-dallying around when he could have made an easy pass to Sanchez straight away, and Sanchez would have gone long. For some reason, I don't know why he felt the need that he can keep the ball for a little bit longer, and then his touch was poor, and then his pass was poor. A lot of people are very upset with Chalobah. What else was Chalobah meant to do in that position? If Chalobah lets him go, he's 1v1 with the goalkeeper. Now, maybe the goalkeeper saves. Maybe the goalkeeper gets a red card again, Sanchez. Maybe the goalkeeper cleans him up and gets a red card, right?
Yeah.
Chalobah was put in a very hard situation. He tried to make a tackle, but it was always going to be difficult from behind because the guy was in front of him. He got a red card. right?
Yeah.
Ishan, even at that point, I felt, okay, very bad news for us, absolutely bad news, but let's make something out of this. He takes off Andre Santos, and I think he brought on Malo Gusto, right? Am I right? That was the substitution?
Yep.
Me personally, I didn't think there was anything wrong, you know. I thought
Hmm.
Reece James, the one thing Brighton did was they swapped Minte over. Minte was on the right side and he wasn't getting the best from Cucurella. He then came to the left side, Brighton's left side, and he started attacking Reece James. And I could see Reece James, he was, I don't know, he took a little bit of a knock as well in the game. He was getting really troubled by Minte. So I thought that substitution of Malo Gusto coming on, shore up that side, lock them up, and see if we can counter. Brighton has to throw body and try and get something. See if we can counter. I didn't think much wrong about that substitution, but then my man Malo Gusto, there was an opportunity. Both guys will remember there was a counter. Enzo Fernandez puts Malo Gusto through. Malo Gusto, instead of running and taking the ball forward, and he can see Pedro Neto over there, my man passed it backwards when he could have driven the ball and put across. So, and then we saw Malo Gusto getting smoked by Minte. Absolutely smoked. I don't have a problem when a manager makes a decision that, you know what, we are leading right now 1-0. Let's try and protect this. And if we get a counter, we'll see if we can pounce. I wouldn't, for me, Ishan, it would have been a bit of a brainless, substitution if Andre Santos came on and an attacking player came on. Because I've just lost a centre-back. So I need to make sure that I can cover. Was it Malo Gusto that came on, or was it Achapong that came on?
It was Achapong came on for Andre Santos and Malo Gusto came on for Estevao.
Right. That in itself, I actually don't have a huge problem. I really don't have a huge problem. Ishan, how did you see that situation? Do you feel that was the right thing to do? And then obviously Malo Gusto capitulated the way he did later on. I mean, should all this be blamed on Maresca, sporting directors, owners? Do you know what I mean?
Now I'll start with Chalobah first. I don't know what's happened with this guy, man. In India, Arian, second me on this. Shani lag gaya iske upar. Rahu Ketu ka grah lag gaya, you know. Look at the chain of matches that has happened, right? You go back to the Robert Sanchez red card, who was in front of him, who lost the ball. It was his header, right? So Chalobah's there. Look at the goal against Lincoln. Chalobah the culprit again, right? Although not the only one. It was Enzo Maresca's long ball there, but it was Chalobah, right? Right in front of the gun there. And then again yesterday as well, Chalobah the straight red card. So he was dilly-dallying around with the red card. Once he let Robert Sanchez have the red card. Second, he totally made us almost look like a fool in front of Lincoln City SC.
Bayern Munich own goal.
Yeah, own goal as well. Oh, brother, Chalobah has been on the limelight. My days, Chalobah, and then just today he ended up with a red card. I hope it's the end, right? Because this pattern on Chalobah as well, bro. I'm my eyes are on you, Chalobah. What's happening? I expected not just these foul patterns, but also his gameplay has degraded a lot. So that's one thing. But look, again, like I told you, and very well correctly mentioned by you as well, Chalobah couldn't have done much. Yes, he had a part, but again, it was too much risk to take. Again, maybe the goalkeeper could have come in fault there, but Chalobah did what he had to do. It was a red card, fair play, but Andre Santos, huge part or huge chunk of mistake has to be on his plate as well. So that is one. But again, this red card has come to Chalobah. We are already in a centre-back crisis. I just want this to stop. Chalobah, just become a mature player that we know you are, right? And just come out and do your due diligence that we know that you can do, right? After this red card, you should be a changed man. I hope this Shanigra ends after this red card, yeah, and we'll see how this you restart. Well, the restart button is very necessary for you. Okay, now Miz, coming to your point, and I'll give my perspective since this is the other side of the coin and Ishan TV as well, right? So this is my perspective, right? I understood. Okay, look, this is a very common understanding that if your center back gets a red card, then you should have a center back alternative who gets substituted, right? Agreed, tick mark, right? Now, here's the problem. Why would you get someone like an Estava off the pitch who was probably looking the most threatful from the flanks and who was probably the most parky player in terms of attacking, try to create something, try to run down the spaces, and look threatful and at least be a pain in the head for the Brighton defenders. You've took that off. So probably you've took the best player who could have created chances for us. You've took that off, brought in another defender, right? Probably you're right. You're right when you say that to defend a 1-0, it might make sense. But that would have completely made sense when our defenders and our defensive midfielders would know how to collectively set at the back and defend. But currently, we are not able to do that. If we expect this squad to just defend, Miz, this is not the squad of back in the days where John Obi Mikel used to be our CDM and used to have a centre back pairing of John Terry and Gary Cahill. This is not those days. Gone are those days, right? Now we have centre back pairing of some, I don't know, Tosin and Chalobah who have lost their heads. Someone's getting a red card. Someone is, I don't know, looking the ball and then expecting it to be a basketball would bounce 5 times. I don't know what's happening with the centre back right now. Right, our fullbacks are not in form. Kukurea has just become a one-man army. So did Caicedo. Now, Miz, tactically, this probably would make a sense to defend a 1-0 lead and probably to see this game through. The point is, this was way too early to do this move. That's one point. Second point, we are better in terms of attacking rather than defending. For us, I know it's a cliche, it's just a narrative, but as they say, attacking is the best form of defense. I think so. Looking at our current team, this is the way we defend better. When we have ball in our half, when we have ball in our foot, when we are at the opposition's box, I think so we are most comfortable there. Not while sitting back, probably have 6, 5, 7 defenders who are very poor aerially, just one over the head through ball or one set piece, we are done for. This is exactly what happened against Brighton, and this is exactly what the Brighton wanted, or probably every opponent wants, is us to defend more so that more overhead through balls or probably set pieces come in and they score. This has been the pattern, Miz, and this is where my problem is. As a manager, or as probably as some other team, this would have totally made sense. Like to go defensive, defend 1-0, defend for your life, see the game through, 3 points, done for the day. But not in the case of our team and the way we are playing. We are vulnerable aerially. We are vulnerable in the set piece. We don't know how to defend when the ball goes up, right? And every defender is bad on form. So in this case, why would you want to jeopardize the entire situation and make us sit back and park the bus when just one over the head through ball or just one set piece or a one cross from the corner will disrupt everything? And this is exactly what happened in the Brighton game. And not just in the Brighton game. Look at the game against Man United. Look at the game against Bayern Munich. This is exactly what happened. This is what the rivals and the opposition wants. And this is where my problem is. Why? I understand. Defender gets a red card, bring back a centre back. That's fine. Why would you cut off the legs and just take out the best creative midfielder, at least for that perspective? Right? Bring in another attacker. You've got tons. You've got Garnacho, use him. Gittins, use him. Maguire, get that lad. At least give him a chance to sniff the grass, for God's sakes. Right? Since he's back into the squad, so you had options. You could do many things. If things are not working, and you knew that it's not that he's tried this for the first time. He's tried against Man United, failed miserably, right?
Bro, against Man United, he knocked down the entire attack. He knocked everything down.
And probably he did the same as well. So if the team's mentality is probably to take the ball more in their foot and they're comfortable, so be it. Let the shape up the team in that way. Just because you're one man down doesn't mean that you'll lose your head and probably change the entire approach of the team where the team are in discomfort. And this is exactly what happened. Now, tactically, like you pointed out, Miss, it might not be wrong. But given that current scenario, the situation, the form of players, the way we are conceding and the pattern that we are seeing, that was wrong.
I hear you. Look, You're absolutely bang on, Ishan. Tactically, the way I thought maybe isn't wrong, but what you're saying
Yeah.
is, with what we have, do you really think that that is capable of keeping a 1-0 1-0 sorry, hold on. Let's just we've got so many arguments. We need to
We've got two of them, man.
Now here we go. So now you're right. The tactical approach that I thought was probably not wrong, and as you said, maybe that's how Maresca thought, and maybe that's not wrong. But what you're saying is, with what we have, was it really realistic that we can actually keep that 1-0 lead? And I think this is what you were saying as well, Arian, and that okay, you bring in a defensive player when one of our defenders get red card, you bring in Achapong, no problems. But later on, when it was 1-1, where is the ambition to try and go for the game? Like, we are at home. Why aren't we the ones going for the game? Why are they the ones who are going for the game? And we're just waiting for them to come and knock us out. And it seemed like, okay, we're happy with the draw. We'll just take the draw and we'll move on. So, Arian, do you think these type of behaviors, it might eventually be a little bit detrimental to Maresca? Like, if he continues to be like this, and I think it's quite important what Ishan said. You need to know what your team is like. Your team at the moment is struggling to defend. Right. Maybe it's better to counter-attack and take the game to the opposition and see if you can just throw the kitchen sink and get more goals, as opposed to defending, and you're not actually defending anything, to be honest.
Right. So Miz and Ishan, I think one thing, and you all would agree with me, we've seen this all through since Maresca has probably come in. Do you remember all of the boring, slow, methodical, monotonous football that we love to play under Maresca? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Why couldn't we do that once we were a man down after 50 minutes? Couldn't we have done
keep
that?
The ball. Keep the ball side to side, to side. Keep the ball side. Make it boring. Make it very boring.
Make it very boring. That's how you manage games. That's how champion teams have always won the Premiership. Forget breaking into the top 6 or anything. That's game management. Every team does that. Why couldn't we do that? That's something that we're amazingly good at. Why couldn't we do that? It's understandable we didn't do that in the first half because we were looking to kind of get another goal. Possibly didn't work for us. After the 25th minute, there wasn't really a proper chance that we were able to create, but we could have deployed that in the second half. And do you realize the fact that we played 5 fullbacks for 25 odd minutes in the entire game? Does that show the ambition that our fans would be proud of? Chelsea fans want to see risk being taken. They want to see some bit of courage, especially when we're playing in a Premier League game at Stamford Bridge, and when a Premier League game is played against a team which is not a top 6 team traditionally, right? You want to show desire there. You want to show a winning mentality there, right? To at least bag a point. Who was our outlet when we were 2-1 down? Who was our outlet when we were level? Let's say we were level 1-1, right? Who was that threat for us who could get a goal? There was
no one really. There was no one.
There was no one.
Besides João Pedro, there was no one.
Exactly. And in the 79th minute is when we got on Badia Shield and I think Lavia, right? Yeah. So after that, we didn't have another interval to make substitutions, although we did have one substitution left. That's another miss by Enzo Maresca, right? Would you not call that a miss? Because
100%.
Despite having a sub available, you didn't have an interval to make that change. And perhaps that change could have been a Garnacho, Tyreek George, or maybe a Gittins. Probably rule out Gittins there from the conversation because he's still trying to find his feet in the league. And probably this might not have been a game for him to kind of come in and be the game changer for us. But at least the former two could have been deployed, right? Either Garnacho could have brought in something fresh. He looks like a man who's on a mission, who wants some sort of redemption. He should have probably been used at Old Trafford. He's that sort of a crazy mentality guy who can probably do the unthinkable for you, which is what we need as Chelsea Football Club, right? At this moment in time, we were hell bent on the fact that we need two right-footed left wingers all through the transfer window. When we got that in Gittins and Garnacho, we're not willing to use them. That's my major worry. Why are we still deploying Pedro Neto, who doesn't look like his comfortable best, playing on the left side for us? That's
Mm.
a question that needs answering, in my opinion. Because if you're deploying him on the right, then yes, he gets that angle to get his shot off. He gets, you
He
know,
cuts in. He cuts
yeah,
in.
he
He has
cuts
that
in.
inverted cross. Yeah.
Exactly, it's more natural as a position for him. Just like when you had Estevao, who was moved to the left, and that was for a very brief moment in the match that both of them had switched wings, right, for good 2 to 5 minutes only, and then they probably understood, no, Estevao probably is not used to that sort of angle, because even when he was playing in the Club World Cup at Palmeiras, there were a couple of times when Estevao had started the game for Palmeiras down the left, but it did not really look that effective. I think that's a lesson that was learned. But then the same applies to Pedro Neto, right? Now, in the modern era, you don't really see left footed players being used on the left. You see them being used on the right, and vice
Yeah.
versa. You see right footed players deployed on the left because they then get an angle, right? It's nothing new. You've seen that since Eden Hazard, right? As Eden Hazard used to be deployed as a left winger. So I think it's just the combination that we are yet to figure out. Perhaps you could have played Estevao down the middle, but then what happens to Enzo Fernandez? Now that's a question that needs answering. Then you probably
Mm.
play Enzo deeper. Uh, but then yeah, overall, I just feel we're in two minds in terms of the combination that we should deploy. I think it's
Mm.
still something that he is still figuring out, Enzo Maresca.
You know what? He needs to figure this out very, very soon. We're gonna wrap things up now. Ishan, bro, I'm 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 lost for confidence now. I'm very much lost for confidence. I was upbeat, and then Brentford, Bayern Munich, Man United, Brighton. I mean, how many more punches can a man take? You keep punching me like this. Obviously, I'm gonna start thinking, wait a minute, what's going on? Like, is my team changing again? Unfortunately, Ishan, I'm very worried with Benfica at Stamford Bridge with legendary Jose Mourinho, the special one coming back, who is the master of all of these dark arts, against a team that has struggled recently with the dark arts. And then we have Liverpool, who got slapped up, even though the score was 2-1. They really got slapped up by Crystal Palace. Bro, we might be heading into the new international break with 2 more losses.
Man, you're talking about punches, yeah? I'll talk about the low blow that I got in the Man United game. You remember that Paul Heyman low blowed, the way he low blowed Roman Reigns? Tingy-ling-ling. It was that, man. It was that against Man United, and after that, all the punches I receive are numb. I've told you, Miz, in the previous aftermath episode that it was that moment I knew that our team it's not on par, and I've just I know that it's now from now is just suffering until and unless something happens or we just click like the way we clicked last season against Fulham second half. Something has to click, but as we speak, the worst part is we are just not improving on our mistakes, and the pattern is clearly visible day in day out, game in game out, and that's a concern, not just from players point of view but also from the manager's point of view. What challenges are up to come? I'm not confident at all. You talk about confidence, I'm not starting to bank on luck, as in what is the scoreline going to be? Are we going to concede just one or two or what, or three? The conversation has gone that scarce for me, because that Man United game, that performance, that mentality, and topping it up with the Lincoln performance first half, second half also wasn't the creme de la creme, but again, Brighton performance, it's just getting bad day by day, and I just can't see the light at the end of the tunnel at the moment. it's going to be difficult, man. It's so disheartening to say that, Miss. We looked into the UCL draw and we were so excited to face someone like Bayern Munich and
So
Barcelona,
excited. So excited.
because I thought that we had that X factor. We're
Yeah.
proven wrong. We're proven wrong. I can't complain, but now I'm scared. That excitement has turned into fear now, and I just hope something happens. We click. We probably have our luck on the day and probably get out with a draw or maybe a win. That's what I can say. But at the end of the day, things are looking bad, and yeah, I'm as short as confidence as you are at the moment.
Same, man. Very, very short in confidence. Arian, look, it's been a pleasure having you on this very first episode. Looking forward
Yeah.
to you being part of this, show moving forward. Your final thoughts with the Benfica and Liverpool fixtures coming up?
Sort out the very basic worries when it comes to the team. The team lacks basic defensive acumen. That's the word for it, which I was able to kind of just understand when I look at the trend, right? The basic acumen, man. Come on, yeah. You have Brighton players who are playing ping pong inside your box. You have Lincoln City, and the goalkeeper does not come out to collect your cross. What is that? What is that? Game management. Where is game management? Do what you do
Cut down,
best. Play to your
cut,
friends.
cut down all these nonsense mistakes, like these individual errors. Cut it down. Every game it's costing us. Every game it's costing us.
That was the third point that you made. Exactly that. That probably summarizes everything from my end. Really.
No, 100%, man. 100%. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us till the end of this show. Make sure you subscribe to both the boys and their channels. The link is literally on the description. Ishan's channel, Ariaman's channel. Give them all the love. Give them all the support. And we shall see you guys again for the next Aftermath show after Benfica. I'm praying. I'm literally praying that it changes around. But I feel like there's more pain. Now no Chalobah. Tossen's not there. Fofana is not there. Who knows? Potentially Caicedo looking at a ban off the back of the recent news. So, yeah, things are looking very, very shaky. But anywho, ladies and gentlemen, hope you guys have enjoyed this. Smash up the like button if you're here for the first time. Subscribe to my channel and all the panelists' channels as well. And until next time, everyone, take care. See ya.